A new Illinois law is set to change how missing person cases are handled, and it could make a critical difference in those first hours after someone disappears.
Yeah, Shrikar Rajendran explains how the law works and what it means for families and law enforcement across the state.
So every year they do one, or every 2 years, because it's
Starting January 1st, a new Illinois law changes how the police and public handle missing person cases. Lawmakers say it eliminates delays that can cost families valuable time, especially in the earliest hours of a disappearance.
It really is stressful for them, and potentially puts a whole day lead time away from law enforcement if in fact this is a true abduction or a missing case.
Under Senate Bill 24, known as the Missing Persons Identification Act, police departments can no longer tell families to wait before filing a report. Instead, officers must immediately accept the report and enter the information into state and national law enforcement databases.
Well, it sets a guideline for law enforcement. They have to enter that data. They can't say, well, that person may have just run away, we're not going to enter that data, or tell other authorities. It requires them to enter that data right away.
Lawmakers say those requirements are meant to create consistency across departments and ensure no missing person report is dismissed early.
So I think they can be rest assured that law enforcement will have guidelines to make sure that that search and that data is entered right away, and so the search for their loved ones can begin immediately.
In Rockford, Shrikar Rajendran, WIFR News.
The law takes effect on the first day of the new year, and families are encouraged to report a missing loved one as soon as there's concern.